My name is Teresa Lewis. I'm 43 years old. At my father's funeral, my own mother stood in front of 200 people and news cameras and declared my sister Heather, his real daughter, his sole caregiver, the only one who truly sacrificed everything, while the rest of us did nothing. The church erupted in applause. Heather sobbed beautifully into the microphone as a giant slideshow played 20 photos of her holding Dad's hand. I wasn't in a single frame. I had spent my last $186,000, every dollar I owned and every dollar I borrowed, keeping him alive for 7 brutal months. I worked 2 jobs. I rode trains 6 hours round trip 3 times a week. I was there 184 days. Heather visited 12 times, then sold his death for a $210,000 book and Netflix deal by stealing my entire story. I sat erased in the back row. Then Sam Kowalski, Dad's brother-in-arms for 56 years, stood up with a phone and pressed play. And that was the moment everything my mother and sister had built on lies for 43 years completely burned to the ground. If you're watching this right now, please hit subscribe and comment if you've ever been erased or betrayed by your own family. I read every single comment, but first, let me take you back 43 years, to the day I was born, and the lie my mother has been carrying ever since. I wasn't supposed to exist. Not the way I did anyway. My mother Connie got pregnant in the summer of 1982. The father was Kyle Brennan, a guy she worked with at the salon. By October, Kyle was gone. Just vanished the week she told him. She was 27, alone, and showing. She met my dad, Art Lewis, at a VFW holiday party in December. He was 31, a Vietnam vet working at the post office. Quiet guy, reliable. She told him the truth in February. She was 7 months pregnant and desperate. Art married her anyway. February 3rd, 1983. Courthouse wedding, no family. I was born 11 days later. The math was obvious. No one talked about it. Art once told me when I was maybe 10, "Doesn't matter where you came from, matters that you're here." Mom never said anything like that, ever. The difference became crystal clear as we grew up. Heather received new bikes for birthdays, while I got hand-me-downs from neighbors. When I made the honor roll every semester, Mom would say, "That's nice, Teresa," and change the subject. But when Heather made the cheerleading squad, the whole house celebrated with a backyard barbecue and a cake that read, "Our Star." The living room wall had 15 framed photos of Heather at every milestone. First steps, kindergarten graduation, prom. There were only 3 of me, all group shots where I happened to be standing nearby. When neighbors asked about us, Mom would light up talking about Heather. "She's so talented, takes after her father." She'd glance at me and change the subject. I stopped asking why she looked at me differently. I knew. By the time I was 13, I had already learned to be invisible. Mom forgot my birthday entirely that year. She had thrown Heather a huge Sweet 16 the year before, complete with a rented hall, a DJ, and 200 guests. When I reminded her the next day, she waved it off with, "Oh, honey, you're so independent. You don't need all that fuss." I smiled and said it was fine, but inside something hardened. I carried that quiet ache into adulthood. It shaped how I loved, carefully, without expectation. That's why when Dad got sick, I didn't hesitate. Some part of me had been waiting my whole life for a chance to prove I belonged. 4 years later, Heather was born. The real daughter. The one with Art's blue eyes and his calm temperament. The one Mom could look at without seeing her worst mistake. I learned the difference early. Heather got front row seats at school plays. I got, "We'll try to make it." The living room wall had 15 framed photos of Heather at every milestone. 3 of me, all group shots where I happened to be standing nearby. When neighbors asked about us, Mom would light up talking about Heather. "She's so talented, takes after her father." She'd glance at me and change the subject. I stopped asking why she looked at me differently. I knew. Heather grew up golden, cheerleader, homecoming court, married Brian Morgan, a dentist when she was 26. 2 kids, big house in Camp Hill, the nice suburb. She became a top producing real estate agent, selling $800,000 homes and posting about it constantly. Everything about Heather looked perfect from the outside. I took a different path. Penn State for English. Came back to Harrisburg, worked as a freelance grant writer for nonprofits. Never married. Lived in a 1-bedroom apartment downtown for $1,100 a month. I'd saved $40,000 over 10 years for a house down payment. I was close with Dad, in the way quiet people are close. Sunday dinners at my parents' house. I went every week. Heather showed up once a month, arrived late, left early, posted Instagram photos. Blessed family time. Art didn't show affection easily, but he'd always say, "You're a good kid, Teresa, always have been." I didn't know those Sunday dinners were numbered. August 1st, 2024. We were watching a Phillies game at his house. He complained about headaches. Said he'd had them for weeks. "Dad, you're 74, not 94. Please get it checked." He resisted. Then finally, Okay, I'll call VA Monday." He called Monday. By Friday, our lives had imploded. Looking back, I wonder if Mom sensed what was coming. Because the moment Dad got sick, she started rewriting Who Mattered, and I was written out before the diagnosis even came. August 5th. My phone rang at work. Mom's voice, tight. "Your dad's in the ER, collapsed at home." I ran 6 blocks to Harrisburg Hospital. Found him in a bay, confused. Couldn't remember what day it was. Nurses moving fast, monitors beeping. I took his hand. He squeezed back, whispered, "Don't tell your mother I'm scared." The doctor came in. Young guy, looked exhausted. "We're seeing something on the preliminary scans. We need an MRI immediately." The MRI took 52 minutes. The results took 3 days. Those 3 days were the last time I had hope. August 12th. Oncologist's office. Dr. Raymond Pelletier, mid-50s, kind eyes that had delivered bad news 1,000 times. Glioblastoma multiforme, stage 4, inoperable. The words hung there. Art's first question, how long? With treatment, we'd hope for a year. Without it, months. Mom asked, "What does treatment cost?" I asked, "What gives him the most time?" August 15th. Conference room at the VA hospital. Dr. Pelletier explained options. VA would cover standard radiation and chemo. Not cutting edge, not experimental. "What about clinical trials?" I said. "Immunotherapy?" "There's a trial at Penn Medicine in Philadelphia. Combination immunotherapy. Early results are promising, but it's not VA covered. The trial drug itself is free, pharmaceutical company funded. But there are significant out-of-pocket facility and access costs. To enroll and complete the protocol at an out-of-network facility, you're looking at $75,000 to $100,000 in fees." Heather, "That's insane. Insurance doesn't cover it for a reason, because it's experimental," I said. "That doesn't mean it won't work." Mom, "Teresa, be realistic. We can't afford that." I have savings." Art, "No, I won't let you. Dad, please, let me look into it." August 15th, 3:52 p.m. I made the decision in that conference room. Heather and Mom exchanged a look. Later, I'd understand what it meant. Let her waste her money. I researched for 5 days straight. Penn Medicine trial. Immunotherapy targeting glioblastoma. Phase 2. Accepting patients. Success rate modest but better than standard care. Median survival 14 to 16 months versus 9 to 11. Trial drug. Free. But Penn Medicine facility fees, specialized monitoring, access costs, $82,000. I filled out the 48-page application. Submitted August 21st. Acceptance letter came August 25th. Start date September 2nd. I had 1 week to liquidate my life. I listed my car, applied for a personal loan at 11.9% interest, started the 401k withdrawal process, knowing the penalties would gut me. Told my boss I needed flexible hours. August 28th. Sold the car to CarMax. $18,500 cash. Bought an Amtrak monthly pass for $680. Heather texted, "Are you seriously doing this?" I didn't respond. September 2nd. Dad and I took the 6:15 a.m. train to Philadelphia. Arrived Penn Medicine at 8:30. First infusion took 4 hours. He tolerated it well. I worked on my laptop in the waiting room, writing grant proposals, trying to make rent. The train home left at 4:45. Art fell asleep on my shoulder. I checked my bank account. $31,200 left. Those train rides became my entire world. The 6:15 a.m. Amtrak to Philadelphia was always cold and half empty. I would sit with Dad's medical folder on my lap, reviewing notes from the previous session while he dozed against the window. The immunotherapy left him with brutal side effects, crushing fatigue, mouth sores that made eating painful, and sudden waves of nausea that sent us scrambling for the tiny train bathroom. Some days he was too weak to walk the full length of the platform when we arrived back in Harrisburg. I would half carry him to the taxi, my back screaming in protest. At night, after getting him settled, I would sit at my tiny kitchen table updating the Excel spreadsheet that had become my nightmare, Dad's treatment costs. The numbers kept climbing. Every time I thought we had hit the ceiling, another bill arrived. I started answering calls from collection agencies on my lunch break, negotiating payment plans I could barely afford. Friends slowly stopped texting because I never had energy to reply. My social life shrank to almost nothing. The only consistent human contact I had outside of work, and Dad, was the Applebee's regulars who tipped a little extra when they saw how exhausted I looked. But there were moments that made every sacrifice worth it. One evening in late October, after a particularly rough treatment, Dad squeezed my hand on the train home and whispered, "You know you didn't have to do any of this, right?" I told him I did it because he was my dad. He looked at me for a long time, eyes watery, and said, "I wish I had been a better father to you when you were little." That was the closest he ever came to acknowledging the years of imbalance. I cried the entire way home, quietly so I wouldn't wake him. That night, Heather posted a sunset photo on Instagram. Caption, "Counting blessings." I wondered if she'd thought about Dad once that day. By September, I was $68,000 into saving Dad's life. Heather and Mom hadn't contributed $1. But that wasn't the betrayal. The betrayal was what Heather started doing on September 10th, while I was on a train to Philadelphia. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Same routine. Wake up 5:30 a.m., train at 6:15, arrive Philly 8:30, treatment until 2 p.m., train home at 4:45, crawl into my apartment at 7, exhausted. Tuesday, Thursday. Grant writing from home, scrambling to keep clients happy. Weekends. Visit Dad, plus a new job. My phone alarm for those days just said, "Dad." I never once hit snooze. Each trip felt like 6 hours stolen from my life. Travel, waiting, worry, the weight of watching him weaken. But Art was trying. The tumor shrank 15% by late October. Dr. Pelletier was cautiously optimistic. What I couldn't handle was coming home and seeing Heather's Instagram stories, yoga classes, dinner parties, weekend trips to the Poconos. September 15th. I walked into Applebee's on Harrisburg Pike and asked for an application. The manager looked at my resume. "You're overqualified for this. I need the hours." I started September 20th, Fridays and Saturdays, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., $11 an hour plus tips. averaged $180 to $220 a weekend. First shift, I spilled a tray of drinks. Cried in the walk-in freezer for 3 minutes. Went back out smiling. One Saturday night in October, a table recognized me. "Don't you work at the nonprofit?" "I just like staying busy." The money hemorrhaged. Trial access fees, $82,000 paid September 1st. Immunotherapy support costs, $19,000 per cycle. Pen medicine additional charges, $7,000 a month. Train passes, $680 monthly. Art supplements, equipment, a private nurse for nights, another $3,000 a month. I had an Excel sheet on my laptop. Dad's treatment costs. I updated it every night. Sources: 401k cashed out, $36,000 after penalties. Car, $18,500. Personal loan, $32,000. Credit cards maxed, $25,000. Borrowed from my friend Pauline, $15,000. Savings drained, $40,000. Grant writing advances, $8,000. Applebee's tips over 4 months, $11,500. By November 30th, $142,000 spent. Meanwhile, Heather bought a Peloton, posted about it. Hashtag self-care isn't selfish. September through November, Heather visited Art exactly 8 times. Each visit, 60 to 90 minutes. She'd arrive with flowers, her phone recording. "Dad, I want to preserve your stories." Art thought it was sweet. September 24th, she asked him, "What's the hardest part?" He answered, "Forgetting. Sometimes I can't remember my grandkids' names." She recorded it. October 8th, she brought a nice camera. Shot photos of him in his recliner, looking out the window. "For the family archive," she said. Art told me later, "Heather's doing something nice. Recording family history." "That's great, Dad." I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? November 15th, she posted a photo of Art. Caption: "My hero's fight continues. I'm documenting every step." 1,200 likes. October 22nd. The MRI showed the tumor reduced 15%. Dad had more good days. Lucid, joking, eating better. "Maybe this crazy plan of yours is working," he said. October 25th. His best day. I took him to Sam's bar downtown. Sam Kowalski, Dad's best friend since Vietnam. Dad had 1 beer, told old war stories, laughed for the first time in months. Sam took a photo of us. It's the only one I have from those 7 months where Dad looks happy. I didn't know we had 6 weeks left. Mid-November, the tumor started growing again. The immunotherapy stopped working. Glioblastomas adapt. They resist. November 28th. Dr. Pelletier: "I'm sorry. There's nothing more we can do medically. It's time to focus on comfort and quality of life." How long? Weeks. Maybe a month or 2. December 18th. I made the hardest decision. We stopped the trial. Switched to hospice. December 24th, Christmas Eve. Art came home. Hospice bed set up in the living room. I hired a private nurse with my last credit card. $8,000. Heather visited for 45 minutes. Brought a poinsettia. Hugged Dad goodbye. Whispered something in his ear. Later, I'd learn what it was. "Thank you for the stories, Daddy." December 31st. I calculated the total, $186,000. Every dollar I had. Every dollar I could borrow. Every dollar I earned in 4 months of 2 jobs. Art got 7 extra months. The tumor initially responded. He had good weeks. He made it to Thanksgiving. Christmas. My friend Pauline asked me, was it worth it? Every dollar. New Year's Eve. I sat by his hospice bed. He was sleeping. I held his hand and thought, I'd do it again. What I didn't know. While I was counting the cost of saving him, Heather was counting the profit from selling him. By January 2025, I had no savings, no car, $57,000 in debt, and maybe 6 weeks left with my dad. Heather had $153,000 in her bank account from deals I didn't know existed, and she was just getting started. September 28, 2024. While I was on a train to Philadelphia, Heather was on a Zoom call with Vanessa Morton, a literary agent in New York City. I didn't know this was happening. Heather's pitch. It's when breath becomes air meets the bright hour, a daughter's journey through her father's terminal cancer. But he's a Vietnam vet, a working-class hero, and I'm documenting his final battle in real time. Vanessa. This is incredibly timely. Cancer memoirs from a millennial daughter caring for her boomer father. That's the sweet spot. Do you have material? I've been recording our conversations. I have his stories, his wisdom, his fears. All of it. How far along is he? Months, maybe 6. Then we need to move fast. October 5th. Heather sent a 60-page proposal. The proposal mentioned a daughter's sacrifice. It just wasn't Heather's sacrifice she was describing. November 8th. Heather got an offer from Berkshire House Publishing. $85,000 advance. Standard 3-payment structure. Publication date, September 2025. Heather to Vanessa. This is incredible, but my father doesn't know. Should I tell him? That's up to you. Some authors find it easier to write with privacy. I think I'll wait. He's not doing well. I don't want to stress him. November 15th. Heather signed the contract. First payment hit her account November 20th. $28,500. That same week, I maxed out my 3rd credit card to pay for Art's home nurse visits. November 20th. Vanessa called again. Cascade Productions wants to option film rights. They're a Netflix-backed production company. They're offering $125,000 for an 18-month exclusive. For a book that hasn't even been written? They're betting on the story. If it goes to limited series, you'd see significant backend. December 10th. Heather signed the option agreement. $125,000. December 15th. The money hit her account. Total earned so far, $153,500. Heather to her husband Brian. This could change everything for us. Book deal, Netflix backing. This is my big break. What I didn't know at the time was that Heather and Mom had been meeting regularly at Mom's house to go over the manuscript pages. Mom would suggest which stories made Heather look most heroic, and which details about my involvement needed to be removed entirely. They treated the book like a business project, one that required carefully editing me out of existence. Heather later admitted during discovery that Mom had actually helped her craft several passages, including the ones where Heather claimed she had driven Dad to Philadelphia 3 times a week. Mom even helped pick the photos for the book cover. They were building an empire on my sacrifice, and they did it while I was riding the train home exhausted every single week. Brian, does your dad know? Not yet. I'll tell everyone when the time is right. December 18th. The same day I decided to stop treatment and start hospice. The right time to Heather meant after he was dead and couldn't object. November through December. Heather wrote fast. 600 pages in 7 weeks. The book, My Father's Last Battle, A Daughter's Journey. 30 chapters, each covering a week in Art's decline. Heather's portrayal, sole caregiver. Quit real estate to care for him. At his side daily. Researched every treatment. Made all medical decisions. Every word a lie. She wrote, I drove him to Philadelphia 3 times a week, 120 miles each way. The treatments were experimental, expensive. I cashed out my retirement to pay for them. I sat in waiting rooms while strangers asked if I was his daughter or his nurse. Both, I'd say. I'm both. Teresa in the book. 0 mentions. Not one. Another passage. I held his hand through every chemo session. When he forgot my name, I reminded him, "It's Heather, Dad. I'm here. I'm always here." Every word was borrowed. Every sacrifice was mine. Every credit was hers. January 15th, 2025. Sam Kowalski was Googling Art's name, looking for VA benefit information. He found a publisher's marketplace announcement. Morton and Associates sells My Father's Last Battle by Heather Lewis Morgan to Berkshire House, described as a daughter's real-time account of caring for her Vietnam veteran father through terminal cancer. Sam called me. "Did you know Heather's writing a book about art?" "What?" He sent the link. I read it. Lewis Morgan documents her journey as sole caregiver. That's not possible. I've been there almost every day. Heather's visited maybe 10 times. I'm going to look into this. Sam had a contact in publishing, got his hands on the proposal and sample chapters. What he read made him physically sick. He called Art immediately. January 20th. Sam visited Art at home. Hospice care, but Art was lucid that day. One of his better ones. Sam showed him the announcement, read him excerpts. Art sat quiet for a long time. Then, "Teresa isn't in it?" "Not once." "How much did Heather get?" $85,000, plus film rights. Art sat quiet for 5 more minutes. Then, "Get me a phone. The new kind, with video." "Art, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking I need to record something. Before I can't anymore. Heather sold a story that isn't hers. Teresa doesn't know, does she?" "No. Dying. You can say it. I'm dying, Sam. And when I'm gone, they're going to rewrite everything. I won't let them erase Teresa. Not after what she's done." January 22nd. Sam bought an iPhone 14 at the Apple Store. Set it up for Art. January 25th. Sam's contact sent him the full manuscript, 600 pages. Sam read it in one sitting at his bar after closing. Every passage about sacrifice was Teresa's story. Every scene about Philadelphia was Teresa's routine. Heather had changed pronouns and claimed it all. Sam said to himself, "This isn't just lying, this is theft." He brought the manuscript to Art the next day. By page 50, Art was crying. January 28th, 2025. Art read 600 pages about his devoted daughter, Heather, the daughter who visited 12 times, who never paid $1, who recorded his dying for profit. And he made a decision. She wouldn't get away with it. February 8th, 2025. 10 a.m. Sam arrived at Art's house. Connie was at the grocery store. I was at work. They had a 90-minute window. Art was lucid. Best day he'd had in weeks. Sam set up the iPhone on a tripod facing Art in his recliner. "How do I look?" "Like a man telling the truth." "Then let's start." Art took a breath. Looked at the camera. "My name is Arthur James Lewis. I'm 74 years old. I'm recording this on February 8th, 2025. I have stage 4 brain cancer. I'm going to die soon. Days, maybe weeks. I'm doing this while I still can, while my mind is clear, because there are things that need to be said. And if I wait, I won't get the chance." His hands shook holding the water glass, but his voice was steady. "The first thing I need to tell you is about my daughter Teresa, and who she really is." He explained it all. Connie pregnant in 1982. Kyle Brennan, the father, vanishing. Art marrying her anyway in February 1983. Teresa born 11 days later. I never cared that Teresa wasn't biologically mine. From the moment she was born, she was my daughter. I changed her diapers. I taught her to ride a bike. I walked her to school. Biology doesn't make you a father. Love does. And I loved Teresa from the start. He paused. Wiped his eyes. But her mother never let her forget what she was. A mistake. A burden. Something to be ashamed of. Connie told me once when Teresa was 5, I look at her and I see every wrong choice I ever made. That's the woman Teresa grew up with. His voice steadied. I should have protected her more. I didn't. That's on me. Then he shifted topics. My daughter Heather wrote a book about my cancer, about me dying. She sold it for $85,000. She sold film rights to a Netflix-backed company for another $125,000. $210,000. She made that while I was dying, and she didn't tell me. Art's voice hardened. I read the book. 600 pages. Heather says she was my caregiver, my sole support. She says she drove me to treatments, paid for them, gave up her career, sat with me through pain. That's a lie. Teresa did those things, not Heather. He listed the facts. Teresa present 184 days out of 210. Heather visited 12 times. Teresa spent $186,000. Heather spent $0. Teresa worked 2 jobs. Heather worked on a book proposal. Heather stole Teresa's story. She put her own name on it, and she profited. Art paused. But the book isn't the worst part. He described Connie's role, how she helped Heather, how she enabled the erasure. My wife knew about the book. Heather told her in November. Connie helped her pick which stories to use, which photos. She knew Teresa wasn't in it, and she said nothing. Art described a conversation he'd overheard in January. Connie to Heather. Make sure the book focuses on you. People don't want to hear about Teresa. She's complicated to explain. Heather. I'm not mentioning her. Connie. Good. This is your story. You earned it by being there. Teresa was literally in the other room that day. Art's voice broke. When the treatment failed in November, Connie said to me, "See? Even Teresa's efforts don't work. She tries so hard and fails every time." She laughed. He wiped his eyes again. That's when I knew I had to do this. Then he explained his will. I updated my will on February 12, 2025. Witnessed by my attorney and 2 independent witnesses. Everything goes to Teresa, the house, the life insurance, $320,000. My savings, everything. Teresa is sole beneficiary. I'm stating this clearly. Teresa paid for my care. She gave me 7 months I wouldn't have had. Heather gave me 12 visits and a recording device. Connie gave me guilt and shame about the daughter who loved me most. He held up a signed document copy toward the camera. If Connie tries to present a different will, it's fake. My attorney has the original. This is on record. Art paused. Then, and there's one more thing you need to know. He explained that he'd recorded Connie and Heather in December. Sam had helped him set up a voice recorder. December 18th, they thought I was unconscious. Sam had set up a recorder, legal in Pennsylvania with one-party consent. And I consented. Art pressed play, Heather's voice clear through the speakers. Okay, so once Dad's gone, we do the book launch in September. I'll do Good Morning America. Today Show if they'll have me. The Netflix pitch is strong. Cascade thinks we can get 6 episodes. Mom, you'll be the grieving widow angle. Connie. What about Teresa? Heather. What about her? She's not in the book. She's not part of this narrative. Connie. She might make trouble. She was there a lot. Heather. Let her try. Who's going to believe her? I have a book deal. I have Netflix backing. I have receipts, photos, recordings. What does she have? Connie laughed. She has debt. Heather. Exactly. We'll say she's bitter, jealous, looking for attention. Once the Netflix money comes through, that's another $400,000. We're talking real money here. The audio ended. Art looked at the camera. That recording will be attached to this video. Then his voice softened. Teresa, if you're watching this, and Sam, you better have shown this at my funeral like I asked. I need you to hear something. You are my daughter. Blood doesn't make family. Love does. You loved me when I was dying. You loved me when it cost you everything. You loved me when no one was watching, when there were no cameras, when there was no book deal. Tears ran down his face. You gave me 7 months. You gave me hope. You gave me dignity. When I couldn't control my body, you cleaned me up and never made me feel ashamed. When I forgot your name, you smiled and said, "I'm Teresa, Dad. I'm here." He wiped his eyes. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you from your mother. I'm sorry I didn't stand up more. I'm sorry I let you grow up feeling like you weren't enough. You were always enough. You were everything. Everything I have is yours. The house, the insurance, all of it. You earned it. Not by being my blood, by being my daughter." Then his voice hardened one last time. "Heather, if you publish that book with those lies, Teresa has legal standing to sue for fraud, defamation, and unjust enrichment. I'm stating this on video as evidence." He looked directly at the camera. "To everyone at my funeral, thank you for coming. I'm sorry you had to learn the truth this way, but they wouldn't have told you otherwise." The video ended. February 8th, 2025, 11:18 a.m. Runtime: 18 minutes, 22 seconds. Art slipped into a coma 20 days later. He never spoke again. But he didn't have to. He'd already said everything that needed saying. March 18th, 2025. 6:22 a.m. Art died. I was holding his hand. March 22nd. The funeral at St. Mary's Catholic Church. I arrived early. 8:30 a.m. The funeral director let me have a private moment with the casket. Closed, per Art's wishes. I sat alone for 20 minutes, traced the wood grain, whispered, "I kept my promise, Dad. I gave you time." I placed a small photo inside the casket lip where no one would see it. The photo from Sam's bar, October 25th. Dad's good day. I didn't know Dad had left me something too. 9:15 a.m. Heather arrived with Brian, their 2 kids, and an ABC News crew. Cameraman, reporter, sound guy. She was wearing an $800 black dress, pearl necklace, perfect makeup. The reporter, Jenna Walsh. "We'll get B-roll of you greeting guests, then film your eulogy." Heather. "I've prepared some readings from my upcoming book. Is that okay?" "Perfect. Very moving." Heather handed the funeral director a USB drive. "Slideshow of Dad and me. Play it during the service." 20 photos loaded onto the church screen. I watched from the parking lot. Heather hugged arriving guests. The camera captured every tear. She'd turned our father's funeral into her audition reel. St. Mary's Church. Capacity 250. Today, 200 people showed up. Front rows, family. Middle rows, Arts Union brothers from APWU, Local 280. Postal workers in dark suits carrying the same quiet sadness. VA hospital staff. Back rows, 15 Vietnam vets in uniform. Sam's bar regulars, neighbors, media in the balcony. The usher. "Your family. You should sit up front." "I'll sit in back. I'm fine." I sat last row, left side. Could see everything. Near the altar, Heather's photo display. 20 blown-up images. All Heather and Art. Beach trip 2019. Christmas 2023. Heather holding his hand in the hospital. Staged, October 2024. I wasn't in one. 9:45. Mom arrived. Saw the display. Smiled. She'd helped Heather choose which photos to blow up. 10 a.m. Father Michael O'Brien started the Mass. Readings, prayers, communion. Then, we'll now hear from Arthur's family. Mom went first. 3-minute speech, flat, generic. Art was a good man, a veteran, a postal worker, a husband of 42 years. He fought until the end. No emotion. Then Heather stood, walked to the podium, camera following. She adjusted the microphone. My father was my hero. Her voice broke perfectly. The last 7 months, watching him fight, caring for him every day, taught me what strength really means. I drove him to treatments. I held his hand through pain. I researched every option. I gave everything I had. My hands gripped the pew. Every word was my life. The church was silent except for Heather's voice and the sound of people crying. I made a slideshow, to honor Dad, to show you who he was. The lights dimmed. The screen behind her lit up. 20 photos. Soft music playing. Sarah McLachlan, Angel. Art in uniform, 1970. Art and Connie's wedding, 1983. Teresa visible as an infant in Connie's arms, face barely there. Then 19 more. All Heather and Art. Every milestone. Every moment. Heather's voiceover. Every day I sat by his side. He taught me courage. In his final days, he told me, Heather, you're my strength. He never said that. The postal worker next to me whispered, wasn't Teresa there more? It's fine. The slideshow ended. Heather returned to the podium. Dad's fight taught me so much. I wanted to share it with the world, so I wrote a book. Pause. It's called My Father's Last Battle, A Daughter's Journey. It comes out this September. She held up a mock-up book cover. Art's face. Heather's silhouette. All proceeds will go to veteran cancer research in Dad's name. Dad knew I was writing it. He wanted his story told, and Netflix is developing it as a limited series. The camera zoomed on her tears. This book is my love letter to my father, and to every daughter who's lost someone. Applause. Standing ovation from the front rows. Mom stood, clapping. Reporter Jenna Walsh scribbling notes. I remained seated, hands in my lap, face neutral. Someone behind me. That's beautiful. What a tribute. Heather. I have copies in the lobby. I'd love to sign them for you after. Then Father O'Brien. Thank you, Heather. Very moving. And now, as Arthur requested before his passing, his friend Sam Kowalski will share a final message. Sam stood, 72 years old, Vietnam veteran cap, American Legion uniform, walked to the front. Father Mike and I discussed this last week. Art made a specific request, a dying wish. 2 weeks before he passed, Art asked me to record a video message. He said, Sam, play this at my funeral, in front of everyone. No matter what happens, no matter who objects, you play it. Sam pulled out an iPhone, connected it to the church AV system. This is 18 minutes long. Art was lucid when he recorded it. His doctor confirmed he had capacity. I was there as witness. What you're about to see is his final testimony. These are his words, his truth. Recorded February 8th, 2025. Mom half stood. Sam, this isn't appropriate. Sit down, Connie. Art wanted this. Father Mike approved it. You're going to want to hear what he has to say. Sam pressed play. Art's face filled the screen. The church went silent. Art's first words. My name is Arthur James Lewis, and I'm about to tell you the truth about my daughters. The video played for 18 minutes and 22 seconds. Art explained everything. Teresa, not his biological daughter. Connie's pregnancy. Kyle Brennan disappearing. Art marrying her anyway, raising me as his own. But her mother never let her forget what she was. A mistake. A burden. The camera cut to me in the back row, people turning. Connie's face went white. Art continued. Teresa spent 43 years being treated like she owed us for existing. She doesn't. I owe her. The postal worker next to me reached over, squeezed my hand. Then Art listed the facts. I kept a calendar. Teresa helped me mark it. He held it up to the camera. Pages visible with check marks. From August 12, 2024, diagnosis, to March 1st, 2025, when I lost consciousness. That's 210 days. Teresa. Present. 184 days, 88%. She was there every treatment day. 36 trips to Philadelphia, every hospice nurse visit. When I couldn't remember her name, when I soiled myself. Christmas Day, New Year's, her birthday. Art held up his phone, showing Heather's Instagram grid. Heather visited 12 times, total, and I know exactly when, because she posted a photo every single time. He listed the dates: September 10th, 2024, October 8th, 2022, November 5th, 19, December 4, 2024, January 3, 14, February 2. 12 visits, average 75 minutes each. That's 15 hours total over 7 months. Teresa was there 1,380 hours. Heather was there 15. Someone in the church yelled, "Oh my God!" The ABC cameraman zoomed on Heather's face. Art held up the manuscript. "This is Heather's book. Let me read you something." He read passages. Teresa's story, with Heather's name on it. "I drove Dad to Philadelphia 3 times a week. I cashed out my savings. The night before Christmas, I held his hand." Art stopped after each one. "I never rode a train with Heather. That was Teresa. Heather didn't pay $1. Teresa paid $186,000. December 24th, Heather visited for 45 minutes, took a selfie, left. Teresa spent the night. The reporter stopped filming, looked sick. Every sacrifice in this book is Teresa's. Heather stole her sister's story and put her own name on it. And she sold it for $210,000. He explained the book deal, the Netflix-backed film option, $85,000 plus $125,000. She never told me. She was making money from my dying while Teresa was going broke saving my life. He held up a bank statement, redacted but visible. "This is Heather's account from December 2024. $153,500 deposited." Heather stood up. "This is private. You can't—" Sam from the back. "Sit down. It's legal." Art's attorney cleared every document. "Art, the book says Heather sacrificed her career. Heather made $178,000 in 2024. She didn't sacrifice anything. She cashed in." Then Art said, "Now I'm going to play you something Heather and Connie said when they thought I was asleep." He pressed play. Audio filled the church. Heather's voice. "Once Dad's gone, we do the book launch. Good Morning America, Today's Show. The Netflix pitch is strong. Mom, you'll be the grieving widow." Connie. "What about Teresa?" Heather. "What about her? She's not in the book. She's not part of this." Connie. "She might make trouble." Heather. "Let her try. Who's going to believe her? I have a book deal. I have Netflix backing. What does she have?" Connie laughed. "She has debt." Heather. "Exactly. We'll say she's bitter. Once the Netflix money comes through, that's another $400,000. The audio ended. Stunned silence. Heather sobbing. Brian already gone. He'd walked out during the audio. Art's face on screen. "That's who Heather is. Now let me tell you who Teresa is." His voice softened. "Teresa, you are my daughter. Blood doesn't make family. Love does. You loved me when I was dying. You loved me when it cost you everything. You loved me when no one was watching. You gave me 7 months. You gave me hope. You gave me dignity." He was crying. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you from your mother. I'm sorry I let you grow up feeling like you weren't enough. You were always enough. You were everything. Everything I have is yours. You earned it by being my daughter." Vietnam vets in the back stood at attention. I was crying. The postal worker's arm around me. Art's voice hardened one last time. "I updated my will February 12, 2025. Teresa is sole beneficiary. House, life insurance, $320,000, savings, everything. If Connie presents a different will, it's fake. He held up the signed document. Heather, if you publish that book, Teresa has legal standing to sue. Final words. To everyone at my funeral, I'm sorry you had to learn the truth this way, but they wouldn't have told you otherwise. The video ended. Black screen. Total silence. Then Mom stood, walked toward the exit. Face blank. Didn't look at anyone. Walked past me without eye contact. Out the door. Didn't come back. Heather sobbing at the altar. Her kids with Brian's parents, looking confused. Sam disconnected the phone. Walked to me. Handed me an envelope. Your dad wanted you to have this. Business card for Gerald Hutchins, attorney. Handwritten note from Art. You gave me time. I'm giving you freedom. Love, Dad. People approached me. Postal worker. We knew. We saw you there every week. Vietnam vet. Your dad was a good man. He raised a good daughter. VA nurse. I'm so sorry we didn't say something sooner. Reporter Jenna to her cameraman. Cut the feed. We're not airing this. Sam to me. He loved you, kid. That video? That was his way of making sure everyone knew. The funeral ended. But 47 people had already started recording the video on their phones. By midnight, it would have 2 million views. March 22nd, 2025, 11:52 a.m. My father's funeral became the moment everyone learned who he really was, who I really was, and who Heather never was. 2 p.m. I went to Sam's bar with him and 6 Vietnam vets. We drank to Art. They told stories. I laughed for the first time in months. Meanwhile, the video was spreading. Someone had uploaded it to YouTube. Dying veteran exposes daughter's fake memoir at his own funeral. 15,000 views by 6 p.m. A vet named Curtis. Art was a good man. Smart, too. He knew exactly what that video would do. My phone. 43 missed calls. 100 plus texts. I turned it off. I didn't know that by morning it would have 2 million views. March 23rd, 10 a.m. Heather's phone rang. Berkshire House Publishing. Senior editor. We've seen the video. We're invoking the morality clause in your contract. The book is canceled effective immediately. You need to return the first advance payment, $28,500, within 30 days. Heather had already spent it. March 24th. Cascade Productions called. Withdrew the Netflix-backed option. Demanded return of $125,000. Heather's agent emailed, I can no longer represent you. This is beyond salvage. March 24th, evening. Heather's Instagram went private. Too late. Screenshots everywhere. The video hit TikTok, Twitter, Reddit. Hashtags trending. Hashtag fake caregiver exposed. Hashtag justice for Teresa. Hashtag Art Lewis video. March 25th. BuzzFeed. Woman exposed at father's funeral for stealing sister's caregiving story for book deal. March 26th. Reddit. The funeral video heard round the world. 58,000 upvotes. March 27th. TikTok breakdown video. 8.7 million views. March 28th. Harrisburg newspaper. Camp Hill real estate agent admits book deal based on false narrative. March 29th. TMZ picked it up. The video hit 15 million views. Someone set up a GoFundMe for me without asking. $127,000 in 4 days. March 30th. Keller Williams called Heather in. We're putting you on administrative leave. Several clients requested different agents. The publicity is affecting our office. April 15th. Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission opened an investigation. May 1st. Heather's license suspended for 18 months. Her profile removed from the website. April 8th. Brian filed for divorce. Irreconcilable differences and irretrievable breakdown of trust. The kids stayed with Brian. Heather's friends stopped responding. Book club dropped her. Country club didn't renew her membership. June. Mom moved to Florida. Couldn't handle the ostracism. Meanwhile, I was in a different fight. April 2nd. I met with an attorney, Rebecca Stone, a litigation specialist Gerald Hutchins recommended. We filed a lawsuit against Heather. Fraud, defamation, unjust enrichment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conversion, May through August, discovery, Heather's bank records, emails with her agent, Instagram DMs, hospital visitation logs, my train tickets. The evidence was overwhelming. Heather's own conversations with Art proved her sparse visits. Security logs confirmed it. Instagram timestamps corroborated Dad's claims. September. Settlement negotiated. I had to read hundreds of pages of Heather's emails and text messages where she and Mom openly discussed how to handle me if I tried to speak out. One message from Heather to Mom said, "As long as we stick to the story that I was the primary caregiver, no one will question it. Teresa's always been dramatic anyway." Seeing those words in black and white felt like another betrayal all over again. With the settlement money, I worked with a nonprofit attorney to file all the paperwork. We received 501c3 status in record time, thanks in part to the public attention the story had received. The first grants we gave out went to people in situations heartbreakingly similar to mine. Heather agreed to pay, rather than face a jury with that video as evidence, $210,000. Book and film money returned. $186,000. Reimbursement for my expenses. $150,000. Punitive damages. Total. $546,000. Payment structure. $100,000 immediate from her house sale. $446,000 over 7 years. Wages garnished. October 15th. Settlement signed. October 20th. I received the first payment. Rebecca. They know they'd lose at trial. The video is ironclad. This also protects her from criminal fraud charges. Justice had a dollar amount. But Dad was still gone. October 2025. Heather had lost her book, her Netflix deal, her career, her marriage, her reputation, and over $500,000. I'd won legally, but no amount of money would bring him back. March 18th, 2026. 1 year since Dad died. I went to his grave, Harrisburg Cemetery. Brought daisies, his favorite. The headstone read, Arthur James Lewis, 1951 to 2025, Vietnam veteran, USPS 38 years. Beloved father. Love makes family. I sat on the grass. Hey, Dad. It's been a year. I did what you asked. I used the money for something good. The fund helped 47 people last year. Caregivers like me who gave everything. We're changing that. I placed the photo at the base. The one from Sam's bar. His good day. I think you'd be proud. Sam says you'd be giving me grief for working too hard. But you know me. I had somewhere to be. January 2026, I'd established a nonprofit. Art Lewis Memorial Fund for Terminal Care Caregivers. Mission: financial assistance for family caregivers who sacrifice everything for terminal loved ones. I'd put $400,000 from the settlement into the endowment, paid off my $146,000 in debt with the rest. The GoFundMe donors, $127,000, all went to the fund. Community donations from Art's friends, postal workers, veterans. Total endowment, $650,000. 2025 to 2026. We awarded 47 grants, $5,000 to $15,000 each. Daughter caring for mom with ALS. Son caring for dad with Parkinson's. Wife caring for husband with late-stage cancer. One recipient told me, I was working 3 jobs and still couldn't afford his medications. The Lewis Fund gave me $8,000. It meant he could die at home, comfortable. It saved us. March 22, 2026. First annual ceremony. Rented event hall. Sam's bar was too small. 100 people. Local press. Sam handed me the microphone. I looked out at the crowd. Took a breath. My dad taught me that family isn't who shares your blood. It's who stays when things get hard. A year ago, I learned that lesson in the most painful way possible. But I also learned that sacrifice isn't wasted if it becomes purpose. I paused. This fund exists because my dad saw me when everyone else looked through me. If one caregiver feels seen because of this grant, then every dollar I spent, every job I worked, every mile I traveled, it all mattered. My voice steadied. To the 47 recipients, you're not invisible. You're heroes, and we see you. Standing ovation. Sam crying in the back. Vietnam vets saluting. My life now, Director of Development at the nonprofit. $78,000 salary. Debt gone. Small house in Harrisburg, $180,000. Used Toyota Camry. No contact with Mom or Heather. Sunday dinners with Sam. Our new tradition. Dating Paul. Met him at a grant event. Accountant. Kind. Taking it slow. November 2025, I'd written an op-ed. My father's real last battle. The daughter who stayed. 12 million reads. Sparked a national conversation about invisible caregivers. In my office at the fund, I have Art's Vietnam photo framed. Every grant recipient sees it. Sam visited one Sunday. We were having dinner. Art would be so damn proud of you, kid. You turned pain into purpose. I learned from the best. March 22nd, 2026. 1 year after the funeral that changed everything. They tried to erase me from his story. But Dad made sure I'd never be invisible again. Not as the daughter who wasn't enough. As the daughter who was everything when it mattered most. That's his legacy. That's mine. And that's what I'm giving to every caregiver who comes after me. Proof that sacrifice isn't wasted. It's sacred, and it deserves to be seen.